Why do you think you and Mike Morris were recalled?
I believe there's several elements that were involved in the decision to recall Mike and I. Uh, the first was, I think Greg felt betrayed by the community by not reelecting him. Greg and I had talked about recall in the past, and he was completely aware of the damage that a recall does to a community. The second reason is Greg held Mike and I personally responsible for his loss in the election. Now, apparently it was lost on Greg that there were 6 candidates for those board seats, and he only beat one of them. We supported Lisa and Liz, but they could have been elected, and Greg and Tom could have been elected as well. So he's just simply off the mark on that.
Why did you support Liz and Lisa?
Because they were committed to transparency. They said that the things that were important to us, they were important to. They seemed to have gone a different direction, but they were all in on transparency and the right to know. Greg was furious about losing the election, and he blamed Mike and I. In fact, he came up to Mike and I the night of the election and stuck his hand out and said, "Congratulations." Well, I don't think he congratulated the guys that won. He just congratulated me and Mike.
So he said congratulations to you when you weren't even running, meaning like you got what you wanted?
Yes. This is also substantiated by when you look at the recall itself. If the recall had been about policy issues, then we'd say, well, it's a matter of different opinion. But the recall was all personal attacks. They accused Mike and I of being bullies, but they never identified who was being bullied. The people that they kind of attributed to, the people that had left various positions, every one of them refuted the notion that they were the one that was being bullied. It was somebody else. It wasn't them.
Can I read you something?
Sure.
An email that was going out 2 days after the March 5th election.
Sure.
So there was an email going out to residents in Trilogy. This is what it says. Good morning. I'm part of a group of residents that are gathering signatures on a recall petition for Mike Morris and Steve Berman, current board members. With the results of the election 2 days ago, these 2 members are now on the majority side of our board, which can have a significant detrimental impact on our community. What did she mean by this? What was she trying to imply?
Well, that was the third reason for the recall, and that was Mike and I are getting too close to information. There are questions that Mike and I have been asking for the entire year that no one's going to answer. Questions like, if Ian was retired, why did we hire him as a consultant for Ursula? Ursula had been his employee for 5 years, and on this consulting contract, how much was he being paid? How long was the contract for? There was no answers to these questions.
So in that letter, that email that was being circulated, I told you that basically they were upset that you guys were going to have the majority on the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then in another one of the paragraphs, it says, there are many examples of why Berman and Morris aren't beneficial to our community. We need a board that will bring positivity to our community going forward. In our opinion, I don't know who R is because she just signs her name by herself. In our opinion, the damage that could be created in the next year by the current board dynamic may take several years for us to bounce back from. Do you have any comment on that?
I mean, you're talking about something fairly serious. One thing you can't deny about the recall is it's had a disruptive effect on the community. It's not been a small thing, it's been a big thing. We're all looking at our neighbors differently. We're all looking at our community differently. Some people are looking at it like they got themselves a big win. You got somebody out there is threatening to recall Lisa. Recall has always been out there as a threat, but it's always been kind of abstract. In this particular case, Mike and I were recalled, and it wasn't just a recall; it was a complete campaign of character assassination and personal destruction. It wasn't about policies. It wasn't that we should hold our dues at the CPI. I mean, it was, they're going to destroy things, which has never been true. So these accusations, they never were specific because there's nothing specific. They just made general comments, said the worst things that they could come up with, that they thought they could sort of get away with saying. And by saying them the way they said them, it gave the impression that they know things. I read some things about me online. You'd think that the people were my next door neighbors that were just untrue, people that I've never met. You know, most of those people that signed the recall petitions, I've never met them. Most people that said the nasty things about me, I've never met them. They don't know one thing about me. And so it was just a pure hate campaign. It was pure character assassination. And if they want to have something specific, if they say, you know, Berman said that he wouldn't approve a dues increase greater than 2.5%. Let's talk about it. I mean, it's fair to say Mike wouldn't even, I don't think Mike agreed with me on that, to be honest with you. He might, okay, that's a policy discussion. It's not, do you know what Berman was accused of when he got divorced 19 years ago? Do you have any idea? Well, so what? It wasn't true. These were all slanderous personal attacks with no basis in fact. If there'd been a basis in fact, they'd have named them. There are changes we wanted to make, but in my opinion, the changes would have made the community better, not worse. And there's nothing that Mike and I could do just on our own. It would have to be approved by the board, and I'm not sure that with a proper explanation, there wouldn't have been community support for some of the things we wanted to do.